It's time for the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report here on the Rural Radio Network. I'm Clay Patton. Thanks so much again for joining us on another weekly look at what's happening in the Midwest Sheep and Goat Market. As we take a rundown here, it is for the week ending October the 14th. The Midwest Sheep and Goat Market, we'll call the market split. Goats higher, lambs and sheep lower this week. Prime slaughter goats about $15 to $20 a hundredweight higher at most of the sales we recap, albeit there were a few quotes of slaughter lambs being about $10 to $15 a hundredweight higher. And if you look at last week's regional price breakdown versus this week's, you'll see that reflected at the upper end of the range. But when you look at the bulk of the lamb trade, more than likely we're going to call the market $10 to $15 a hundredweight lower. Volume in terms of number of head that are coming into the sales continue to be very strong. Only one or two sales this week actually reported a lower number of head versus the week prior. This isn't completely unexpected, though. This is a time when we typically do see some decent volume at the market. We've got those spring-born lambs, spring-born goats, they're coming into market. As well, it's a time for ranchers to really kind of take and evaluate where they want to be in their marketings as well. If they need to cull some stock, it's a great time for them to get those into the sale barn before they really have to ramp up into a winter feeding program, or they're having to make the tough call. Hay is expensive once again. Where do we want to be? So again, they kind of trim on those herds. But in saying that, there is some good news, I think, in the herd rebuilding sector as well. Sioux Falls, along with San Angelo Livestock, or Producers Livestock in San Angelo, both of those reported some replacement stock going back into the country. For Sioux Falls, it was run-and age ewes. Typically, we've been seeing even some of these better-end, higher-end replacement quality ewes heading back into the slaughter line. This week, though, they noted actually that a lot of those ewes turned back more towards the replacement side. On the it was on hair ewes and goats that we saw there in San Angelo Producers Livestock. Both sales, though, I do want to kind of preface it with saying while it's positive to see, the volume overall of it is pretty thin, so that's why I'm not going to go ahead and still call where this breeding market is right now. I just don't have enough comparable sales to put it all together to really bring in what that actual market looks like right now. But I still think it's positive that at least our market reporters are starting to note that more of it's going back into the country, more of it's starting to set itself up to go back here into the breeding herd as we look at potential rebuilding if things can kind of come in our favor here, I think, for another good grazing year in 2024. Now let's take a rundown and actually bring you some quotes here from the week's sales. We'll start on some lighter weight feeder kids. Colby Livestock in Kansas sold 17 head of 72-pound hair lambs, $195 a hundredweight, $140 a head. Colby also sold 17 head of 39-pound feeder goats for $317 a hundredweight, or about $123 a head. Centennial Livestock in Colorado, 104 head of hair lambs, weighing 62 pounds, sold for $210 a hundredweight. That's $130 a head. Centennial also sold 31 head of weather goats weighing 104 pounds for $283 a hundredweight. That's $295 a head. Kelowna, Iowa sold 104 head of 122-pound wool lambs for $205 a hundredweight, or $250 a head. Kelowna also sold 115 head of 75-pound hair lambs for $184 a hundredweight, or $138 a head. Upper end of that draft in Kelowna brought $195 a hundredweight, or $146 a head. Kelowna also sold 62 head of 81-pound weather goats, likely boar influence, so looking at the notes, for $215 a hundredweight, or $174 a head. Upper end of the draft brought $259 a hundredweight, or $210 a head. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock sold 638 head of 138-pound slaughter wool lambs for $205 a hundredweight, $283 a head. Upper end of the draft brought $210 a hundredweight, or $289 a head. Sioux Falls also sold 89 head of 81-pound goat withers for $265 a hundredweight, or $214 a head. Producers Livestock in San Angelo, Texas sold 189 head of 52-pound hair lambs for $267 a hundredweight, or $138 a head. Upper end of that draft brought $286 a hundredweight, or $148 a head. Producers Livestock also sold 483 head of 55-pound goats for $311 a hundredweight, or $171 a head. Upper end of that draft brought $335 a hundredweight, or $184 a head. Other markets important for our livestock producers. The grain markets turned higher towards the end of the week, though to only close in the red on Friday. The latest USDA WASDE report shaved a little production off corn and soybeans here in the U.S. USDA also lowered global demand for U.S. grains as exports are sluggish. The surprise that drove the markets higher was a drop in global grain supplies, though. China this week has also been aggressively buying U.S. beans and wheat despite a higher U.S. dollar. While the market has seen a nearby rally, the U.S. is still poised to produce a healthy-sized crop in corn and soybeans, so likely this should keep the market more of in a range-bound setting. Now, the hay markets in Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, South Dakota, Colorado, and Wyoming steady with limited trade over the last few weeks as fall harvest really kind of keeps everybody busy and not seeing a lot of trade develop. Dairies are trying to buy up most of this high-end Supreme alfalfa, and they're spending some money for it. There seems to be a lot more good and fair alfalfa available this year than last year. Grass hay is hit and miss, as is the quality, and some grass hay is garnering quite the premium, though, starting to push up on the upper levels of where some of this alfalfa is bringing as well. It does appear the hay market may pick up some more steam this week as temps have cooled off and harvest will be delayed in many areas due to rain. For the most part, Supreme alfalfa in large square bales brought $250 to $300 a ton at the stack, and some delivered. Big rounds of good alfalfa seem to be mostly $175 to $185 a ton. Lamb slaughter on the week estimated 34,000 head through Saturday, unchanged from last week, up 2,000 from last year. Year-to-date lamb slaughter 1.41 million head, 3.3% or 46,000 head more than last year's lamb slaughter. Live lamb weights this week, 119 pounds, up 1 pound from the prior week and down 5 pounds from last year. Dressed lamb weights were at 61 pounds on the rail. That is an increase of 1 pound from last week and down 3 pounds from last year. Here is your regional price breakdown. We'll start on the wool lambs, as not enough an applicable trend for 20 to 40 pounders, but 40 to 70 pound wool lambs, 135 to 290 a hundredweight, 70 pounds and up, 125 to 245 a hundredweight. On the hair lambs, 20 to 40 pounds, 155 to 312 a hundredweight, 40 to 70 pound hair lambs, 150 to 270 a hundredweight, 70 pounds and up, 160 to 240 a hundredweight. On the wool ewes, slaughter ewes, 39 to 135 a hundredweight. On the slaughter wool rams, 35 to 135 a hundredweight. As we go back over to on the hair ewe side, the slaughter hair ewes, 40 to 150 a hundredweight, hair rams, 100 to 180 a hundredweight. Kid goat prices, 20 to 40 pounds, 150 to 390 a hundredweight, 40 to 70 pounds, 150 to 365, 70 pounds and up, 160 to 330 a hundredweight. On the withers, 70 pounds and up, 220 to 345 a hundredweight. On the does, slaughter medium to fleshy, $100 to $250 a head, and on the slaughter bucks, $110 to $265 a hundredweight. That is the latest here in your Midwest Sheep and Goat Market Report. Thanks so much for tuning in. And once again this week, always make sure you can find the latest episodes when you subscribe on Spotify, and always find the latest episode as well at ruralradionetwork.com.